Hello, everyone. Welcome back to the channel for an interview for one of my favorite shows out there. You guys know I'm obsessed with Cobra Kai, and I have Jesse Kove here. What's up? It's good to see you.
You too. I'm so glad to be here. Good to see you again, of course.
Yeah. Jesse and I met for the first time when I hosted the Cobra Kai panel in San Diego Comic-Con, and that was hands down one of the best experiences of my life. But your dad in particular was so warm and welcoming when I was literally shaking in my boots before that panel started.
Oh my God, thank you. I mean, that really was a memorable day. I mean, it was like all those fans everywhere. I mean, it was just like there was like I don't know 1,000 people, in the audience, and it was crazy. You were amazing up there introducing everybody. I still have those videos from that day. It was incredible.
I appreciate you saying that. Seriously, that day was a blast. That whole trip was a blast. That party was fun too.
Oh, the whole weekend was crazy. That was pre-COVID.
Yeah.
So there was definitely a little bit more, mingling between people, shaking of hands. But just life is life, and this is where we're at right now.
Good memories, and it gives us some good things to look forward to eventually.
Yeah, exactly.
We're gonna get there. All right, so I want to go back to the very, very beginning for you, and I'm wondering, when was the very first time you remember it registering that your dad was kind of a movie icon?
It's funny. My dad and we talk about like, this word icon, because I don't know, just because because he's humble. He's like, am I an icon? I don't feel like an icon. He's like, I think of Marlon Brando and Jack Nicholson and James Dean. He's like, to me, those are icons. But I was like, Dad, this is fine. Like you're part of an iconic film. You're part of it. You have a plethora of films your whole life. You've never had to do anything else. And he's like, oh, maybe you're right. Maybe you're right. He's like, I'll take it. So it's funny that we chat about that. But I think when I was younger, as a kid growing up, I always remembered, seeing these movie posters on the wall. And then, of course I saw him. He's got like some of the original Karate Kid movie posters and other stuff that he's done, even had the cardboard cutout of Kreese in the living room, which he still has in his house. It's just, I think when I was younger, I know, okay, like my dad does something with, that's him. Okay. And then like I started going to movie sets as I was younger, and I was like, oh, this is like what my dad does for a living. I like it. This is fun. And then obviously, people coming up to him as I got older, I had more of an understanding. And then obviously I fell into it. And I think that's how it started, really.
So when you fell into it, was it always immediately, I see what my dad's doing and I like it? Or was there ever kind of a more rebellious stage, I guess, where it's like, my dad's doing that, so I don't want to do that, and then you came back around to it?
It's funny. It kind of happened in the first way, because I would come to set. I love what was going on. It was always around me. So I think I had a natural understanding of like, the movie business and the artistry of acting. And so I felt very comfortable in it. And, I really enjoyed it. And so I started, in high school and all that. I was in my high school plays and it was an improv class. I just had a natural knack for it. And even when I was younger, I'd always I always wanted to be like a magician. So I'd perform in front of the family as if I was this magician, and I would do all these tricks, and I liked it. Somehow there was always this like performer aspect to what I was doing. I enjoyed making people laugh. Like I loved making my mom laugh. I think that's how it always starts, right? We like making our like parents laugh when we're younger. And I think that's where it went. And then obviously, I got into it professionally when I was 18, but my family never put me in the industry. Like my dad didn't even want me to get in the industry. He's like, oh, I don't know if you want to get into this, Jesse. This is a crazy business. And it is, of course. There's no guarantees, but it is extremely rewarding. And I've, every year just gets better than the next. And, I've never looked back. So I feel very lucky.
First question to that. Can you still do any magic?
Yes. I don't have my equipment with me, so I should carry. What is that behind your ear? Hold on a second.
I feel like I'd be putting you to the test right now, but I kind of wish you had like a deck of cards or something.
I know, God, I need.
Sleight of hand stuff fascinates me to no end, and I am not equipped to do anything of the sorts, but
I know. I should know magic just offhand for even auditions. Who knows? If I don't get the part, maybe I just, I woo them with my magic tricks.
It's like it's a resume headshot thing. At the bottom of it, you got to put that you're skilled in magic.
I like this.
Now I want to know, at the bottom of your headshot resume, what's in the skills section? I always find that part so fascinating because it's such random stuff usually.
Great question. Horseback riding, firearms and weapons training, multiple accents, and what else is down there? I don't even remember if this is on there. Computer skills, maybe. I don't know. I could fake that I know how to hack into like the CIA. And what else is in there? Yeah, athleticism, I guess. I think that's there. But yeah, those are some of the good ones.
I feel like that sounds like a real well-rounded assortment to have.
Right.
So
Accents and maybe some horseback riding, I guess you're fine.
when you first committed to pursuing a career in acting, what did you picture for yourself? Did you kind of picture a career that was like your dad's, or I don't know, was it I want to grow up and become a comedy actor, or I don't know, any other idol you might have had?
I always enjoyed like characters and obviously like deep work that's meaningful. I always like to do something that's, obviously, sometimes you don't get your pick, but stuff that really moves people, that's challenging for me. I think, as I was younger, I wanted to be like, the action hero, and I still enjoy that stuff, of course. But I think as you get older, you kind of just want to do things that are, more meaningful. And look, by all means, look, I love Marvel stuff. I'm still hoping I'm going to be the next Captain America. But, but it's, I think stuff that's just really meaningful to me and challenging at the same time that you enjoy. And, look, if I can get in the next John Wick movie, I'd be very happy.
I can't wait for that next movie.
Oh
And
my God.
and I guess the TV show too. Whatever happened to the Continental?
Yeah, I know, right? I mean, look, I
Something.
train with Jared Butler, who trained Keanu Reeves, so he trains me, for with weapons training. So I'm close. We'll see.
I'm rooting for you. Going
Thank
back to when you were a little kid, because you love action movies, what was the go-to? What were you repeat watching all the time?
Ooh, I love it. I love it. This is great. Well, ones that come to mind really was like obviously the Pirates of the Caribbean movies. I loved those when I was younger. My dad, of course, showed me tons of classic films. Obviously like Arnold Schwarzenegger's films. My dad was in Rambo. First Blood Part 2. I saw that, and and what else is there? Tons of great action films from the 80s. One of the ones we love, which I wasn't the most popular people, was Last Action Hero, that I loved. I watched that a lot when I was a kid.
I watched that a lot.
Isn't it so good? People were like, and then True Lies. Like, are we kidding?
I think I'm pretty sure I could find a True Lies VHS tape in a closet here if I looked for
Yeah,
it.
VHS, like, come on. I mean, just incredible. I'm a big Lord of the Rings fan. That to me is like, they're incredible movies. I'm also a big Harry Potter fan. I mean, these were movies that I loved. And then, of course, tons of Disney movies. What else was there? Yeah, just a plethora of all movies. I mean, my dad would show me like The Good, the Bad, the Ugly from back in the day, some black and white classics, Casablanca, all these. So tons of stuff.
I would assume he would have made sure you saw the musts,
Which one?
like the must-sees.
Oh, of course. Yeah, absolutely.
In the Western department too. I feel like I didn't come around to those until I actually went to school and studied film, and then all of a sudden realized that that's a pretty essential part of a background in I guess being a cinephile.
Yeah, I mean, these guys paved the way for what we do today. So again, they are the must-haves.
You name dropped a whole bunch of very popular franchises there. If you had your pick and you could only join one, what would it be?
Lord of the Rings. Oh my God. I love doing period stuff. And I just, I love like knighthood, I guess you could say. I try to like, it was funny. Someone asked me this on another interview. They're like, on your Instagram bio, it says like, faith, honor, nobility, and justice. And they're like, what is that? I said, oh, those are the virtues of a knight. And so if you can somehow, I try to like, gauge my life within those things, then somehow you are a knight. So if I could ever get to play any of those things, whether it's a Legolas, any of those guys would just be incredible. Because I love doing stuff I feel the most comfortable as an actor when I'm doing stuff that's not of this time. Like when I'm either a cowboy or in the medieval times or even like the 1930s. I don't know what about it is. You're automatically a character because you're in past time.
Do you know what specifically it is about doing a period piece that has that effect on you? Is it the opportunity to be able to I not only transport your mind frame into a character, into a different period, but also have all of the necessary things around you, like the production design and costume design?
I think that's a big part of it. And I also just I really enjoy doing accents. I enjoy playing characters. Like I did an audition the other day for like this this character who's in like 1917, and he's, he's from Virginia, and he talks like this, and he's very classy, and tries to woo this woman, and just like stuff like that is just so, I don't know, you really get to sink your teeth into it, and like you can't help but be this character. Like even this movie I did last year called D-Day, which was a World War II film. There's just a way that like these guys would carry themselves and talk, and it's very specific, because now people are, I mean, playing somebody now is great, and you obviously make it your own. But when you're able to play, someone in the medieval times, whatever, it's just a totally different spectrum. You're really challenged as an actor.
You brought up accents a couple times now. What is, I don't know, maybe what's the most challenging accent you've ever had to, or maybe even like, what's the accent you're still trying to master?
Oh my goodness. There's a few. Like South African is really hard. Australian. And someone told me like Australian, everything's up in the nose. It's nasally, you talk from Australia. It's all in the It's all in the nose. It's very nasally. I'm really enjoying being here. Stuff like that is really tough. Leo DiCaprio freaking perfected it in, what was it? Blood Diamond. My God. And then what else is there? There's a few other ones that are tough, whether they're from Europe or things like that. But I usually, if I hear it enough, I can mimic it and then create my own from that. And again, that's just part of like what's fun to do is like, different accents. I was just watching a buddy of mine, my dear friend Weston Cage, who was in D-Day with me. He was showing me this movie he did where he plays this Russian terrorist. And I was like, dude, you literally are this guy. And he was telling me that it all came from like his accent, and then it came into his body. And that's how he, became this guy. So yeah.
That's so impressive. I can't believe how quickly you could turn the accent on and off. I feel like I could study something like that all day long. And even with the time to like prep myself into getting into that kind of mind frame, I still couldn't do it well.
You do it practice, you can do anything. It is just like this interview. It's part of the wheelhouse.
I'll accept the challenge, and I'll make a fool of myself in my next interview.
I love it. We'll do it with
randomly do it to someone and not warn them whatsoever.
I love it.
All right, let's get into some Cobra Kai here. What was your first impression of Cobra Kai when you first heard your dad was going to get to reprise his role? Because we know how it goes in this industry. Sometimes you take a popular property and you kind of milk it for all it's worth, and you don't necessarily justify the continuation of it. So what were you thinking when this opportunity first crossed his path?
Well, when we first heard about it, I mean, my dad was telling me about it. They want to do this Cobra Kai thing on YouTube. And I was like, what the hell are you talking about? Like, what do they want to make a spoof out of it? Or it's like something like a funny, like, what are we talking about here? And he goes, no, like they want to make a real series out of it, and like, a drama. And I was like, okay. And then, we started talking about it, and they sent him like scripts, and they started telling him what was going to happen. And then it became this really cool thing. And I was like, whoa, like that's going to be really interesting for your dad to reprise this role again. It's been so long. And he had been trying to get this movie made that was actually about Kreese later on in like, today, that was like his own journey of what, different than Cobra Kai, but like where he was, maybe he was a rancher and he was like, had a different life, kind of like how Stallone, did that with Rambo, how he kind of was like, he forgot that life, and all of a sudden bad stuff happens, something similar to that, but as John Kreese. And then, so he was excited. I know that. And it was just kind of this really amazing thing. Like it was really untouched territory to have, the original cast from 35 years ago come back and then be on a TV series, and then have it be as good as it is, and then have this comedic aspect to it, which I think really, hit it, just was a home run, with that little bit of that comedy, and then not making it, so PC. I think people just really fell in love with that, and it brought a new flavor to the Karate Kid world. Mm-hmm. And, it's also for everybody. It's for kids, it's for adults, it's for people who grew up with it. So it's kind of like this perfect show. And so when it hit, and then when he went down there and he shot the first season after, he came in at the end, it was like this, like I was blown away by the first season, blown away. And then when he came in at the end, I was literally jumping up and down. I was so excited for him. And he was sitting, I had Kreese right next to me, and I was just excited as if I was a fan.
I don't blame you one bit. I think what you brought up is probably one of my favorite qualities of the show, is that it's for everybody. I mean, I see so many YouTube channels that are, young and up and coming YouTubers and critics that are kids in high school just absolutely loving this young ensemble. And then I can also sit and watch it with my parents who absolutely loved the Karate Kid back in the 80s. And I don't know, it's very unusual to have something that so many generations can share together.
It's so true. And I think they've really paved the road for a lot of other shows that I think are going to kind of copy the slate of what they did, because it works. And I think it's great. I mean, there's a tons of different movies that they can bring back as TV series now, what people would fall in love with, if they did, like, I think they're even doing it. I think my buddy's on, like, the Goonies series, right? Like, if you saw something like that, it would be incredible.
The Mighty Ducks one is the one that I have my eye on right now.
There you go. I mean, who doesn't love that stuff? It's also like feel good, it's also, it's
true.
Nostalgia, just like literally like warms your heart, and you just can't help but like shed a tear.
Every single time I hear about a new project like that in development, whatever I write about it, it's always like, use Cobra Kai as a blueprint. They showed you what to do to make it work so well. Why doesn't everyone just copy that?
Yeah. Or Star Wars. Look what they've done with Star Wars. I mean, they've like made everything humanly possible with Star Wars. We're gonna have Star Wars money pretty soon.
Are you a big Star Wars fan too?
Oh yeah, huge.
Have you been watching Mandalorian, or did you watch Mandalorian? Okay,
love it. Absolutely love it. I'm a big Star Wars nerd. I'm a Lord of the Rings, Star Wars, Marvel nerd, Harry Potter nerd. I've got a Captain America shield on my wall. I've also got a Harry Potter wand that I got at in Ollivanders on my wall. I got all kinds of crazy stuff.
I feel like, I know you want John Wick, but just swap the gun for, I don't know, like, why not a lightsaber? Or, I mean, really, you could be a Han Solo type character.
They're all somehow weapons of good or bad, these things that help the hero in some way, whether it's a wand, a gun, or a shield. But that's actually funny enough. I brought this up before. One of the other great things about Cobra Kai is, especially in the world we're in today, where like we love guns and explosions and CGI. No guns, no CGI, just these characters, their stories, and some karate. And it's just a perfect recipe.
And some real kick-ass, like, visceral stunts. It all feels so real. And I know there's some wire work involved, but I wonder what that young ensemble went from, season 1, seeing their skills start to emerge, and then what they're capable of now. I mean,
totally.
That's real skill learned. It's not just movie magic.
It is. They do an incredible job. I mean, I got just a taste of it, going down to study working with, the stunt team down there, which was amazing. But yeah, they've worked their asses off, and they're all fantastic.
Of the entire young ensemble, who would be the first to kick your ass?
That's really good. Probably Tori, I guess.
Okay.
Pretty badass in season 3. And then Jacob, aka Hawk, he's pretty crazy.
He's something else. Both of them seriously have such screen presence. I can't get over it.
All
right. Your journey into the show now. Let's start at the very, very beginning for that. First, whose idea was it for you to even audition at all? Is it something you brought up to John, Josh, and Hayden? Did they mention it? Did your dad put it out there?
So it wasn't really talked about. I mean, obviously, like, I had imagined I would just love to partake somehow in this universe. I never thought it would ever happen. I said, how the hell could I even be in the Karate Kid universe? Because when I was in Cobra Kai, I was in the OG Karate Kid universe as well as on Cobra Kai. So it was a very special piece that I was in. And I talked about this with Barrett Carnahan, who plays young Kreese, who we've become good friends from the show. Funny enough, right? And I got a call from my manager when they were shooting season 3. They had just started shooting season 3, and he calls me and he says, "Dude, they want you to come in for Cobra Kai." And I was like, "Really?" He goes, "Yeah." He's like, "I don't know what this is or what it is, but they want you to go in." And they sent me the sides. And even in the sides, they didn't really explain too much. It was a bit different than what you saw on screen. And I went in, and then they explained a little bit more to me what was going to happen. I'm actually going to be the bully to young Kreese. I was like, this is incredible. And then I originally thought that it was for young Kreese, and then they told me it was going to be for the bully, and I was like, this is like even more badass. So I went in there, and I remember I was in the audition room, and I worked my ass off for this audition because I was like, there's no way I can go into this and not do great, because it would be embarrassing if, like, the son of John Kreese like just totally tanked this audition, and he'd have to go to the John, Josh, and be like, what happened, guys? Like, your son, he just wasn't any good, which anyway, thankfully didn't go that route. But I went in there and I said, like, guys, like, how much of a jerk do you want this guy to be? Like, you want him to just be like full on just terrible? They're like, yeah, we want this guy to be just the absolute worst. And I was like, okay, got it. Runs in the family. We can do it. So I got it. About a week and a half later, we didn't hear anything. And then finally my manager called me again. He's like, dude, they love what you did. They want to send you down to Atlanta. And I was just like, I was thrilled. I mean, called my dad up, told him he was already in Atlanta shooting season 3. And I told him the good news, and he was just, couldn't be happier. And then I went down there, and well, that's how the booking process happened. It was really surreal the way it happened. It was it didn't feel real. It was real at the same time. Even going into this universe was like, to me personally, it was like a rite of passage and a bit of a legacy accomplishment. I really wanted to make my dad proud and just show up in that way. It was very cool. It was just really cool. And I was just grateful, the whole time.
Backtracking a little there, you said the sides were very different. What kind of character did you go in and read for in the audition?
It wasn't as they didn't explain enough about that it was young Kreese that I was dealing with. It was like the whole thing with the diner sequence and a bit of the bullying, and they didn't give as much information. And then when I went in there, they explained exactly what all was going on. So it was more so just seeing the bully of this guy, and then later on, realizing, explain that it was with young Kreese.
When did you find out it was a period piece?
I think, when did that happen?
That must have been the best surprise ever for you.
Yeah, well, I think, I don't remember in the sides if it said, because I remember, I had the line where I was like, oh, piece of junk, I'm going to get some muscle. And, when I first read that, I was like, oh, I guess I'm driving some Mercedes. And I was like, I'm going to get like some, Charger or something. But anyway, and then they explained that to me as well. And then when I was even on set, they told me that I was driving the actual car that Mr. Miyagi had given Daniel from Karate Kid 1. I was like, is this real?
Is it possible to even enjoy that? Because I always think if I had the money to get a crazy fancy car, I wouldn't be able to enjoy it because I would be afraid to ruin it. So are you just, even the little bit of driving you're doing, are you panicking the entire time?
Well, being the son of John Kreese, I keyed the side of it at first. And then, I told Daniel about it later on. No. I've known Ralph for years, and, I know his daughter too. They're just great. And, obviously we spent a lot of time together. So when they told me that this was going to happen, of course I was really excited. And of course I wanted to take great care in it. And I actually have made a video on my Instagram. Actually, at the time when I was in the car, I made this video because I just had to save this moment. I mean, it was a rare moment. Nobody gets to do it. Also, the son of John Kreese driving this car was like, okay, I carved my name into the side of it. But it was amazing. It was a beautiful moment. I really took a lot of care and respect in what was going on with that. I definitely felt like there was a lot of honor in it at the same time. This car is was a piece of cinematic history. So I really took care of that. And I really wanted to honor that as well. And of course, John, Josh, and Hayden, they told me about that. It was like this great Easter egg that they said. They're like, oh, everyone's going to love it. We thought about this. And I was like, okay, so did I buy this from Miyagi? Did I sell it to him later? Like, where does that come in? They're like, we don't know. We'll figure it out or something. Who knows? But it was just this great moment, great moment. And of course, my dad sitting there watching the day when I was on set, videotaping this as well. It was very surreal. And even for the cast and the crew that was there that day, it was just this, you could feel it in the air. It was a very special day for everybody.
That is the coolest thing. And that set gets to have it all the time with getting you involved, with bringing Elizabeth Shue in finally. And it just it feels like there's so many possibilities still to come in that department as far as making sure the entire Karate Kid family is involved in the show.
Totally. I mean, it's really, they've done a great job already of just peppering in things from the past and bringing in characters from the past. So, I think, it's fun for the fans to see that. It keeps you engaged, and it's exciting. Who knows what season 4 will bring. It is very exciting. I've heard some things, so I just, it's really going to be a pretty thrilling ride for everybody.
The cool thing is too, that they throw all that stuff in and they do it with purpose.
Yeah.
That's how you do it. And then it's worthwhile.
It's true. I mean, these guys are so smart. I mean, I remember we were sitting, my dad and I and the big three, we were all having cigars together and talking. I mean, these guys, they literally think about these characters' journeys, maybe, a season or two ahead or whatever. Or they hope, as far as they can go. And, they were thinking about things in season 1 that they knew would play out in season 2 and, hopefully season 3. I mean, they're just brilliant. Every time my dad brought an idea to them, they had already thought of that. Usually they'd already, oh, yep, we've got that covered and then some.
The last time I spoke to them, I'm trying to pressure them into giving the same touch on something Star Wars related. They're so well suited to that, and they're already tapping into so many of the themes that are familiar in that franchise.
Totally. I said that to them too. I said, guys, I was like, I saw season 3 before it came out. And I said, what you guys did at the end of season 3, I was like, that's Star Wars. And they're like, the music, everything. I mean, it was incredible.
What is it like for you getting to know them, I guess, kind of through your dad, or maybe observing them on set compared to when you were physically on set and, either being directed by them or just working in an environment where they're the leaders and they're setting the tone on set?
Yeah. I mean, they know exactly what they want. They literally, they have their vision, and they just know. They know what they have. They know what they're doing, and you entrust so much to what they need. And they're in their moment. I mean, when these guys are on set, they're really in their moment. They command the set beautifully, and they're just so much fun. Like, they really, they understand these characters, but better than anyone, really, in a sense. And they really pull these great performances from people. And I remember watching them direct my dad in one scene, and it was like this funny moment. My dad has a cigar cutter, and he kept having it like up here in his way of his mouth, and they kept having him redo the take. And my dad kept thinking that he was screwing up, and they're like, no, Marty, it's just the cigar cutter's in the way of your mouth. And it was like, they're very specific, and they really, it was fun to watch them. It's like watching these happy nerds. I'm a nerd. I'm not saying this in a bad way. Like, I consider myself a nerd, right?
Aren't we all?
Yeah, exactly. It's like having these nerds that are getting to direct something that they know the fans and people are going to love, because it's what they wanted to see.
Is there any particular scene over the course of, I guess, the last 2 seasons where you said to them, like, I have to be on, like, even if I'm not in the scene, I have to be on set that day just to watch this happen?
Oh man. I remember reading the script for season 3, and I remember I didn't get a chance to go down just timing issues. I had to leave, but I really wanted to be there for the episode 10. Just with Johnny and Daniel and my dad, and taking Daniel through the window. I mean, it was unbelievable. That whole sequence was just. It was like unforgettable. I mean, people have been waiting. I've been saying this, like, people have literally been waiting like 35 years to see this go down. I mean, it's unbelievable. I mean, it's just so fun to be a part of and to watch. It's like, it just is unreal.
Even the little fraction I've been able to be a part of it and just engage with other fans who absolutely adore this series. Like, I'm not just saying this because I'm talking to someone involved, but Cobra Kai has truly been one of the greatest joys to cover and just love as a fan for the past 3 years.
Oh my God, that's awesome to hear. Awesome to hear. I mean, yeah, it's really like, it is very special. Like, even when when we were down at Comic-Con, like, even when we were just being transported in the vans, like with the whole cast, like, it was just surreal. It's just very surreal. It's kind of like, it's as if you're in a bus with like Darth Vader and Luke Skywalker, and you're like just kind of chilling in the middle between these guys. You're like, oh, oh yeah, you want coffee and you want coffee. It's like, it's just like, it's hilarious.
Yeah, I feel like I get that feeling often when I do interviews. It's still like the fan in me definitely takes over more so than anything.
But I know everybody involved with the show, they all geek out. Even the cast that's on the show, they still geek out at like what's happening, what they're doing. I mean, it's amazing.
Backing up to your material here, I heard that they wanted it to be a little bit of a misdirect at the beginning, where the audience would think that you are actually young Kreese. So when you're playing that part of your sequence, what are the pillars of your dad's performance that you're trying to tap into?
So that was one of the elements that came in later on, where they really wanted that misdirection. They explained that later to me, because in the audition process, they didn't really explain that too much. And then later on, they were like, okay, we really want one of the purposes of this scene is we want to set up that people think you're John Kreese. The line I have, show the opponent mercy. And I thought that was just great. I got to play, basically I was John Kreese for a second. And obviously, like being around my dad, I kind of embodied him in the beginning, and I know how he talks, his mannerisms, and the kind of the tone at the way he says things. That one line, it was like, I was like, "Cannon Betsy, you don't show the opponent mercy." The look and all that stuff. It was just so it was really fun to play that, and the writers really wanted to misdirect the people because it was great because like he's the underdog, and you thought, oh, the big honcho with the jacket, and he shoulder checks the guy, and then he says no mercy, and like this, oh, this has got to be Kreese, and then they show that he's actually the little underdog who's the bus boy who's like being picked on and taking the orders from people, and he's people laughing at him, and it was a way to humanize Kreese in a beautiful way, you know.
It was definitely a very smart move right there. So when you have a smaller role like that, how much character work do you really have to do? Some backstory work, because obviously one of the things that makes Cobra Kai so special is that it doesn't matter how big a role is, someone has a story. And the cool thing about the series is it's sending me back to all these movies and it's showing me things from a new perspective, in a new light. So if we were to get David's side of the story, I guess what would be motivating him in that moment?
Awesome question. I mean, I thought about it too, again, with the time period. It was 1965, the kind of way they walk and they talk a little bit. I thought about, well, what is it? Why does he feel the need to have to bully this guy? You know what I mean? What is it about him? And I think it goes back to maybe David's own parenting or his own household. Yeah, maybe he's great at sports and all that, but he's probably got some issues at home or insecurities within himself that he feels the need to have to do that to assert his power, so much of his power all the time. Because if you're really secure with yourself, you don't have to do that. If you're important and you feel important inside, people come to you. So I think that was part of it as well. And I think hopefully that, that was able to transcribe into the character as I tried to portray it. And, that was kind of, a bit of that as well. And then obviously like the road had been paved for me already, having this run in my family, I kind of knew the history of this probably a bit better than anyone. And I was very fortunate that way. I didn't have to do too much, but I also really wanted to bring a little bit of this, this fresh element, and then this deep rooted stuff that was going on inside of David that, a lot of people didn't really get to see. And then obviously in the fight at the end, there was that whole thing, where I smacked Betsy, which was, I remember when I did that scene with Emily Palmer, I was like, each take, I was like, oh, I'm so sorry, Emily. I really don't want to slap you. And she's like, it's okay, Jesse. It's okay. And then they go action, bam, it was really funny, but yeah.
Is there any chance, I mean, you probably wouldn't even be able to say this, but is there any chance David could return? Because again, keeping in the themes that Cobra Kai is exploring, the idea of young Kreese coming back and them running into each other or at least with Kreese being a different person at that point, I feel like there's more to explore there.
I don't disagree with you. I obviously, not as of right now, there's nothing. But it would be great. I mean, Barrett and I have talked a lot about, Barrett, who plays young Kreese, by the way, who did a phenomenal job. He was just amazing. And we've chatted about, he and I were like cheerleading each other through this past year because we couldn't say anything, by the way, for about a year. We were like, basically just hush, hush. And so, but we'd talk to each other and say, oh man, I just can't wait for people to know and to see this. And, I was so happy with his performance, and he also took such care in playing that role. And it was great to, work alongside him. It was literally like one of the best days of both of our lives, fighting each other and kicking the shit out of each other that day. We laugh about that. We were like bleeding and sweating, and I was like, oh, dude, you want to do another one? He's like, oh yeah, you bet your ass I do. It was really funny. But again, it was, I think it would be incredible. There's been a lot of talk on social media about, these spin-off series or whatever. And even the writers have talked about that. I think just as they've done with Star Wars, like, why would they not want to continue this universe? It's a universe that people love to live in and explore. And there's so much to go, whether they go back in time or forward, back and forward. It's just really, it's fun. It's creative. And I think there's more to explore within the Karate Kid universe.
I kind of like the thought of the shift over to Netflix too, because it does feel like now those possibilities are a little more realistic. I think YouTube did a great job getting the show off the ground, but when you see what Netflix is churning out, and, I'm even just thinking about how, Riverdale and Sabrina are connected, things like that. It feels
Sure.
like it could be a possible path to pursue.
I think it would be great. And again, like you said, like, YouTube obviously did a great job in the beginning. And I've said this before, it almost everything that's happened with Cobra Kai has literally been perfect. Like it went to YouTube, got out there, people saw it was cool, and people kind of still didn't really know about it. They did season 2, people still didn't know about it. Then there was like, unfortunately COVID happened, which was, extremely unfortunate for everybody in the world. And then, but yet again, it forced a lot of people to be home. Then the renegotiations for the show came up, and it went to Netflix. And then they released season 1 and 2 on Netflix, which everybody in the world saw, which was great. And people got to enjoy 2 seasons of the show, which is like amazing. And then like 4 months later, they released season 3, which was like, it was like just Cobra Kai Nation, Cobra Kai World for like months. It was just crazy.
That release strategy was genius too.
It was all like an accident, really, in a sense, as well.
They really did that well, though.
Again, thank you, Netflix. Like you said, they were just as excited. I remember like I was on a couple of these phone calls with Netflix and my father, and they were just so thrilled to have the show and to be to have some creative output behind it. They were just everybody was so excited. I mean, there was like, I believe there was a pretty big bidding war for this show. Everybody wanted a piece of it, and Netflix won. And I think it's great. Everybody was so happy that it was at Netflix, because I pretty much think everybody has got Netflix.
Oh, I'm right there with all of those people. So I feel like you already kind of teased that some things about season 4. So I wanted to do some theorizing with you. If I get too close to anything you really know and you don't want to talk about it, definitely say a pass.
I'm gonna get shot. All right.
Well, I'm going with a big one, I guess, right up top here. What do you want to see in terms of Kreese's next step, especially with the Terry Silver tease? Is there anything in particular, I guess?
Terry Silver tease? Is it?
Oh, it is. They flat out say his name out loud. Silver. Is there anything like a quality of Kreese from Karate Kid Part 3, or maybe a new quality of the character that Terry's return could bring out of him to make him even more of a threat in season 4 that you'd like to see?
I mean, obviously I can't say anything, but I think from my dad's perspective and what we've talked about, there's always another side to Kreese that I think he would like to show, which could be a more emotional side. Could be maybe a softer side that we don't get to see, like we did see a little bit in the flashbacks, that again makes you go, oh, wow, like Kreese, he really is a good guy. Like he's just misunderstood, and he's got these great qualities. Like you were able to see a bit of that in season 3, and made people go like, whoa, like I've been there. Maybe I could be like Kreese. Maybe there's a bit of Kreese in me as well. So I think that's something that I think my dad would really like to explore. Maybe, and I know something he's talked about as well, like maybe there's a woman that gets involved and you see him in a relationship and what that would be like. Maybe this woman's more badass than he is. I don't know. It would be incredible. Right. So it would just be, stuff like that would be great. What I would love to see, obviously the exploration of Johnny and Daniel, together would be just really interesting to see that, those two butting heads would be really funny. I always want to see them fight each other again and again. I think that's fantastic. Again, obviously the kids, where they go with all this, the battle between Cobra Kai and Eagle Fang and Miyagi-Do, what's going to happen there? Now we have got like these 3 dojos where they're up against each other. And then, it'd be interesting to see what happens with Cobra Kai. And obviously they've got Robbie, who's under Kreese's wing now from the end of, season 3. And, the funny thing too, I've said this before, is that every time Johnny has come in, has crossed paths with my dad, Johnny's always the one who hits him first. He's always attacking my dad. And I'm like, he's always trying to extend his hand to help him out, whether it's join Cobra Kai, he's helping his son out, he's letting him stay at his place. And then Johnny always gives him a sidekick, or, does a somersault in his face. And I'm like, all right, I guess he's always trying to pick a fight. So
master,
he's a bad guy.
He could like dupe you into being the first to strike.
Yeah, exactly. Right. Some of that stuff would be great. And, exploring that. And then obviously what's going on internally with a lot of the characters, now that they've switched away from Cobra Kai, seeing how that affects them in their daily life, maybe not taking the Cobra Kai advice. Again, it ties into like what happened at the end of season 2, where Miguel showed mercy to Robbie and he ended up getting hurt for it, so it's like, you kind of take those things, and we'll see how that affects the other kids who've gone away from Cobra Kai as well. Will that affect them in their daily life? aside from the dojo. So it'll be really interesting. And I can tell you the writers, man, these guys, it's going to blow us away.
I trust them. I have all the faith in the world that they're going to deliver an incredible season 4. One more season 4 question for you. And like magic, we have done a wardrobe change in the middle of the interview. That's not actually true. I lost power, and Jesse was kind enough to finish the interview on a different day. So I'm picking up right where we left off here, because I think we got cut off in the middle of this answer, and I wanted this one in full because it's something that everyone's having a lot of fun theorizing about right now.
Okay.
So everyone's predicting that the end of season 4 is going to be the All Valley tournament. So if you could pick 2 characters to go head to head in that tournament, who are you picking and why?
I would love to see, I just think it'd be so fun, is Tori and Hawk. I think that would be a great matchup, right?
I wouldn't expect it, but there's a lot of purpose behind that, and I like the idea.
Yeah, I think it would be we'll see. I don't know. I just think it would be fun. I think Tori's really tough, and obviously Hawk's a great fighter, and so is Tori. So I think it'd be awesome.
I'm 100% behind that. A follow-up from something you had mentioned earlier, because we were talking about potential spin-off series. If
Right.
you could pick one character to see their story through in a spin-off series that is solely focused on them, who would you pick?
Oh, Kreese. Kreese, 100%.
I feel like I should have predicted that answer.
I just think there's so much that hasn't been spoken about or talked about with that story. I just think there's a lot. There's just so much. He's been doing karate since he was a very young man, so there's a lot to cover there.
That's pretty fair. I kind of want to see Barrett get to continue on in the role too. So going way back to those days, that kind of intrigues me right now.
I said that to Barrett myself, and I hope that happens for him. That would be wonderful.
Definitely rooting for that. All right, I asked this question at the Comic-Con panel just for fun. If you had the opportunity to role swap with anybody on Cobra Kai, who would you pick? And maybe let's take Kreese out of it.
Yeah.
Would you go for Kreese?
To role swap, that would be well, of course I'd love to give that a shot, but it would be really fun to, I don't know, walk in Johnny's shoes would be just so, I mean, because he's kind of, he's doing his own thing, so that would be fun. But also Daniel's great too. He's just a well-balanced fighter.
Do you find yourself, just you, Jesse Kove, in real life more drawn to, I don't know, the teachings or the mentality of one versus the other?
I kind of have a balance of both. Like, if you look at, I guess, like an example, like my social media, which is kind of like an example of my life and what I do in my life, there's like this balance of like spirituality, motivation, and then guns and action and all that stuff. So I feel like you have to have a proper balance,
That's true. I feel like in every aspect of life and every industry and every show.
Yeah, but it's hard. I mean, it takes a lot of discipline. It takes a lot of discipline to have like a proper balance. Like, even like I try to diet properly. It's so difficult sometimes, eating super well during the week and then maybe having like this crazy, like Dwayne Johnson has this like these waffles with smothered in peanut butter and chocolate and all this stuff, ice cream. I'm like,
His cheat meals are hands down one of my favorite posts on Instagram. I genuinely look forward to those.
we tune in on Sundays for the Rock's cheat meals.
What's your cheat meal?
Peanut butter is definitely involved with a lot of things. It could be ice cream, coffee ice cream, hot ice cream is one of my big ones. I just obsess. I love ice cream. Oreos and milk, cookies and milk. Get out of here.
All right. So you're a sweets guy.
I do love sweets. It's terrible.
I like sweets, but I feel like I would do like an entire pizza, especially while I'm in New York. I might as well.
Of course. Oh my God. Pizza's the best.
It's pizza and bagels here all day long.
Oh, love dishes.
You know what? You don't have it on the West Coast like you do here, though. It is a real problem. I know people roll their eyes and laugh about it, but it's night and day.
True. It is. It's true, and they're not as expensive, nearly as expensive.
All right, I got a sillier one for you. So You and your dad are basically both Cobra Kai badasses, but on the flip side of that, what is I guess the most boring hobby that the two of you have? Something that is just so polar opposite to what we see you doing on the show.
Um, Probably gardening. My dad likes to garden. I actually enjoy gardening when I do it. It's fun. It can be, it can be, there's a lot of labor involved, but it's nice to just be at one with like plants and nature. And, my dad's a pretty, I guess he definitely has like a green thumb. He's out in the yard doing gardening work all the time. Literally, you want to laugh. My dad loves his roses.
I feel like there's some sort of element that can be incorporated into Cobra Kai with a bonsai tree versus like a rose bush, I guess. I don't know.
Yeah, I can just see like a black and yellow Cobra Kai rose bush.
I feel like they do that. They dye roses. You could do it. All right, before I let you go, I like asking everybody who comes on this channel something of the sorts because I like giving people recommendations. So, Cobra Kai aside, what are you watching, a game you're playing, anything you're reading, any kind of storytelling content whatsoever that you think the viewers need to be aware of?
Let's see. What am I watching? I haven't started WandaVision yet. I really want to start that. You're gonna laugh. I've been binging Curb Your Enthusiasm lately, which I know is not like crazy, super exciting. I just think this cynicism of it is just so funny at this time at the moment. What else was there? Oh, well, Mandalorian, of course. I was just had so much fun watching. I really was looking.
Great.
And what else? God, oh, you want to laugh? You want to really laugh?
Yes,
I'm
please.
obsessed with the History Channel's The Curse of Oak Island. Obsessed with that show. It's like this treasure hunt show. They've been hunting this treasure forever. It's just such a like fun show for me to watch. Love, love, love that show. Let me think. What else? I watch everything. I really do. I watch everything. I'm trying to think of what else there is that everyone should be watching. I mean, obviously, I'm obsessed with Star Wars stuff. I wish that Obi-Wan Kenobi was on right now. I would just be, I would die. And
Hopefully soon enough now.
right? I mean, that's the story, the backstory they really should do is a Darth Vader, going into Darth Vader's journey, where as a younger Darth Vader would be unbelievable.
Are you big into the Star Wars books?
No, I haven't read the books. I really should.
I'm talking like I read them. I don't read them. I listen to them on audiobook because I'm a terrible reader. But there's one called Lords of the Sith that takes place in that in-between zone, and it basically tells you stories about Darth Vader before the original trilogy, and it's a great read slash listen.
I love it. I love it. I feel like that kind of storyline. It's similar to like Kreese's in a way, right? That whole backstory and him and that whole the dark side. It's kind of like it's like Robbie at the end of season 3, right? Has he joined the dark side or has he joined the side of reality? Who knows?
I'm a big believer that that's part of the reason why Cobra Kai speaks to me so much is because it's got those Star Wars themes. I love
Yeah,
it. I can't get
yeah,
enough of it. And also they're universal. Really, in real life, we can all take a lot of those to heart.
yes. It's so true. So
All
true.
right, Jesse, I'm going to let you go now. I
Okay.
appreciate you doing a proper conclusion to this interview. Big congratulations to everybody out there. If you're watching this, you've seen Cobra Kai, but make sure to tell everybody you know about it as well. And check out Jesse's social media. I'll put it in the description section of this video. Thanks so much for watching. See you soon.
Bye, guys.